understandable that we wanted to follow in Stephen's footsteps and keep his legacy alive. But the fact that so many of you have joined us on this journey has been nothing less than miraculous. For whatever the reason is, if you joined us because maybe you lost somebody on 9/11 and you wanted to honor them by doing good, or you joined us because what we do for our first responders or our men and women in uniform, whatever the reason is, the fact is you represent so many miracles that have come into our lives. Tonight, we get to honor 3 of those miracles. Howard, congratulations. You give him a round of applause. Think of all the things that you have accomplished. Your family must be so proud of you, and friends. Look at them. They're beaming with such pride, and rightfully so. How would you remember early on when you were just learning about our foundation and when you were faced with a difficult choice, you remained loyal and steadfast. There isn't any shiny object that can move you off the right course. You're a man of impeccable character and integrity, and how blessed are we. You're the first company that came on board to join us to help us build every single one of these houses that we are building. Plus you got all your members involved, over 800 stores raising money. Not only that, you were able to get so many other companies involved. I want to thank you forever and ever. Congratulations, Howard.
I have to say, I'm so honored and so excited to tell you a little bit more about Howard Brodsky, our co-founder, co-CEO, and chairman of the board at CCA Global Partners. And I've struggled with what I wanted to tell you. For some reason, this thing that Chris Rock said like 15 years ago keeps on playing in my head. And he had this thing where he said that when you meet someone for the first time, you're actually meeting their representative. You're not meeting the right person, the real person. And I would say the whole time I've been at CCA, people are always asking us, is Howard really as nice as he appears to be? Sure, like how could he possibly be that nice? There's got to be some sort of monster hiding behind that, and it's just not the case. Howard really is the real guy. He does not have a representative, but he has just a number of facets, like enormous facets you just wouldn't believe out of one person. So while Howard is actually working on creating a global co-op movement that will enrich the lives of millions of people, he's also a CEO that goes around to each and every single employee every morning to greet them and to ask them what's going on. He sits on the boards of a hospital, a university, and numerous other boards around the country. But he's also the guy, rather than writing checks, he was a big brother for years and years and years, and now his little is a grown man married with children, and that wasn't enough for Howard. He had to start a Big Brothers Big Sisters program through CCA Global Partners, which we're very, very proud of. And he also, with all the stuff that he's doing and literally going around the world, he makes time for any kid, any high school kid who wants some advice on what college to apply to, where they might want to go to. And it's just wonderful to see the way he's such a big thinker, like this walking idea factory, but he has time for all these small acts of kindness and taking care of people. And one of the things that I really impressed by Howard is that Howard is the son of a Russian immigrant who came to this country with absolutely nothing. And so, the American dream could be great in that, maybe Howard builds a big retail chain and it's like awesome for him. But with this deep appreciation for the privilege and the opportunity that this country gives to us, Howard didn't feel like his American dream would be a great American dream if he didn't bring thousands of other people along with it. And he has created these channels of opportunity for independent store owners around North America to realize their American dream. And I think that because of his experience coming to this country, growing up in very modest circumstances, Howard has a very deep appreciation for first responders and for our service people and for all those people that make it possible for other people to pursue these dreams. And you know, there's a story that Howard told me years ago that I absolutely love because I think that says so much about who he is. So Howard lost his father at a relatively young age, and his mom thought that the Boy Scouts would be a really good opportunity for Howard. So Howard and his little friend Arthur are in the Boy Scout troop, and they're doing a hike up, Mount Agamagnus, it's one of those mountains in New Hampshire. And his friend was like not in the best shape. So he's falling behind, and Howard felt bad for his friend, so Howard decided to fall back with a friend. Well, then they lost their troop. So now these two little guys are lost in the woods, and so Howard they figure out how to get out to the road. They see what appears to be hopefully a nice family driving by. They wave down the car, they hitch a ride, and they get up to the station where the troop is going to meet them. And so apparently that wasn't exactly coloring inside the lines as far as the Boy Scouts were concerned. But I think it says so much about who Howard is. He's not going to leave other people behind. He's always going to look out for his friends. And he's always going to think out of the box to get someplace faster and better than anybody else. And lastly, trying to figure out how everyone's paths cross. I think that one of the things that drives Howard is his desire and his commitment to doing good. And you see that in that Boy Scout that was looking out for his friend, and you see that in the opportunity that he's created for thousands of families and for their family businesses. And I think that is a common thread that is stitched through everything that Howard has done in his life, but it's also that thread that brought him to Tunnel to Towers, because as we heard from Frank earlier, we're here, while we're able, let us do good, and that's what Howard is all about. So, and now we're just going to look at a video that will tell us a little bit more about Howard Brodsky.
My name is Howard Brodsky, and we're here at CCA Global Partners corporate headquarters in Manchester, New Hampshire.
Carpet One is a cooperative, and Howard and Alan, his partner who started Carpet One, were looking to do something a little different, and they heard about cooperatives. It just resonated with both of them.
I believe that business should be a force for good, and I think that's a basic element of who we are at CCA Global Partners.
Howard's father was in a pogrom in Russia, basically walked out of Russia.
And he moved to Manchester and wanted to open a small floor covering store. He wanted to be the dean of floor covering, and he named it Dean's. So I went to Wesleyan University, majored in economics and minored in art. I went back and ran the business. We hired amazing people, and I was building up this massive organization. One day I kept getting calls from creditors that said, your bills aren't being paid. I went in and I opened a drawer in the controller's office with $1.5 million worth of bills that were never recorded. So at a young age, I filed Chapter 11 reorganization bankruptcy. And I had to go tell my mother. Instead of saying, I told you so, never said I told you so. She gave me a big hug and said, that's the way you learn. And I always say, if she had not done that, I would have been so scared to take risk.
Howard just has a really nice personal vibe and has created a dynamic here where anyone can have an idea. So one night after we had a really long day, and I just was sort of killing a little bit of time on Facebook, and I saw a friend of mine had posted that he was raising money to build a home for Sergeant Doug Vitale. So I sent him a note to ask him, hey, do you need floors? Later on, I bumped into my boss, who's Charlie Dilks. He's the Chief Product Officer. And I asked Charlie, what do you think about it?
So Teresa and I headed down to Dalton, Georgia, which is where Mohawk is headquartered. And we had another meeting going on, but she excused herself to go talk to some of the Mohawk management group. I asked her where she was, and she said, oh, I just had the meeting about building for America's Bravest. And I'm like, it only lasted like 2 minutes. And she said, I only got to slide 3, and they said yes.
The whole idea around a co-op is helping people. And so for us to have this opportunity really made total sense on the whole trajectory that Howard has been building all along. And the idea of being able to empower local families to help service members who are stationed around the country was just a perfect fit for us.
So we knew it was our honor and our duty to make sure that we build these homes. And look where it has brought us today.
Always live your passion. I think the way things usually work in life, that the right person who shows up with the right idea, with the right passion, those people that have that energy and belief make things happen in the world. And if you're not passionate about something, find something that you're passionate about.
He's just such a porous man for ideas, and he's got the biggest heart in the world.
Is Howard a visionary? I think that if you were to describe Howard and you had, 5 or 6 things that you could say about him, and you asked 100 people that knew him, I think visionary would be in everyone's description of Howard, for sure.
So Howard, would you please come up to accept the Stephen Siller Foundation Follow the Footsteps Award?
Teresa, thank you for your kind words. And more than that, thank you for your friendship. I cherish that more than anything. Go back to the Boy Scout story just to tell you, I was very, very young, and I was quite fit when I was young. And my friend Arthur, who played saxophone, was very good at that, but he was slightly overweight, to put it mildly. And we got in the woods, and Arthur said, "I'm never going to be able to do this hike." I said, "You can do it, Arthur." And slowly we got miles and miles behind that. But I did stay with him because nobody else was staying with Arthur. And we got out the thing, and we were so far behind. I said, "Arthur, we're never going to get the ride home if we don't hitchhike." So we had the Boy Scout uniform on. We put out our thumb. The first cars that came over, we said, "Oh my gosh, look at these 2 cute Boy Scouts." We got in the car, and they took us up to the troop. And this apparently wasn't a good thing to be a Boy Scout and hitchhiking on your hike. And my father had just died recently, and I thought I was just in the Boy Scout, and the first award ceremony was coming up, and I thought we were supposed to get a badge. And I told my mother, who was my pride and my love and my everything in my life, I said, "Mom, I'm getting an award tonight at the Boy." She said, "The badge," and she said, That's wonderful." She says, "I want to come and be with you at it." And so we came that night, and she's sitting next to me, and they gave all the awards out. And Arthur, we didn't get any award. And then they said, "We want to just tell the story of what happened, what shouldn't happen in the Boy Scouts." And they said, 2 boys hitchhiked. And I'm sitting there crawling, slowly shrinking. My mother said, "Who is that?" I said, "I have no idea." But I learned then, actually, I think it's more important to do what's right than what's in the rule book. And I always said, and people that know me, you should do what's in your heart and what's in your soul to do what's right. When Teresa first came to me, any endeavor like this requires a passionate person that has belief in what it is. And when she came to me with the idea, and she said she had this friend who she reconnected with from high school, and she saw about America's Bravest, and she said, "This looks like an unbelievable cause." And Teresa, it always takes. It takes somebody to take with that passion and that heart, and she just ran with it, and with every single phase of it, did it. And I'm so proud of her. And then Charlie Dilks, along with her, took it, and they went to our suppliers, and no one could be better and a better partner to us than Mohawk. And Mohawk and the team, I know Teresa and Charlie told me when they went to visit the Mohawk executives that it took about 3 seconds to get an answer that said they would provide all the flooring for all the homes in America. And so to Jeff and your team, you come with a heart, and thank you. And I can tell you that you look over history, and there are people that make goodness out of tragedy. And I think there's nobody that we could ever see better than that, than Frank Siller. That Frank, with the loss of his brother, had this passion of doing good. And there are very few Frank Sillers in the world that have that spirit, the charisma that can take you in, and with his heart is so big that encompasses. And look at this group here, but Frank, you are one of a million, and he really is to drive what's being done. And I think no one could do it like Frank Siller does it. So Frank, you are the best. You know, there was a recent article in the New York Times, and it was, "Do corporations have souls?" And the article was really about Mary Anderson was the founder and co-CEO of REI, a $3.5 billion sports cooperative in the country. And they talked about that when she founded the company, she believed that a company should be more than just doing business, that a company should also be about doing good. And that at the end of the day, her belief was so strong. They have 6 million members, and they're thriving while other companies are struggling in the same space. The companies with a soul do exist. And I believe that CCA, that We Have a Soul, and Mohawk and CBS are all doing the right things, and we're here because we do have souls. That the good guys do come out well in our life, and I'm blessed for that. And I think we're so proud to be part of the Siller Foundation and what's being done. And we've seen these wonderful, amazing veterans that have catastrophic illnesses come to our convention, speak to us, dine with us, dance with us, and see their hearts. And when you see their attitude and their spirit, they don't have disabilities. They've come back with something much stronger than anybody could have. And I'm very blessed to be here and be part of this and accept the award on behalf of CCA and the many thousands of family businesses and associates that make our company what it is. And thank you very much.